from the shadowed corners of reality, where the known twists into the terrifying, and the whispers of the cosmos carry chilling tales. You've stumbled upon Parallax Tales. Here we delve into the realms of horror and sci-fi, where the boundaries of perception blur, and the darkness holds secrets best left undisturbed. Prepare yourself for narrated journeys into the unsettling, the strange, and the utterly terrifying. Subscribe now and brace yourself, for the parallax is about to shift.
Alright, settle in, let me tell you a tale. It's about bins, bones, and a bit of bad luck. You know, the usual Tuesday night for a professional like myself. I am a pro dumpster diver. I dived into Anthropologist trash. I wish I did not. My name is Reggie The Rummager Ripton, and for the past 7 years, my hands have known the intimate secrets of countless discarded treasures. Forget gold rushes. The real wealth, my friend, lies in the forgotten bounty of our consumer society. I've furnished my apartment entirely from curbside finds, funded a rather impressive collection of vintage board games, and even flipped a surprisingly intact taxidermied squirrel for a decent 3 figures. You could say I have a nose for the good stuff. Or perhaps more accurately, a tolerance for the less than fragrant. My usual haunts are the back alleys of trendy boutiques, designer clothes with minor flaws. My bread and butter, upscale grocery stores. Organic kale past its prime is still organic kale. And the occasional electronics recycling center. You'd be amazed what people throw away. But tonight, a new scent on the wind, or rather, a tip from a fellow rummager named Fingers Freddy, led me to a different kind of gold mine, the discarded refuse of a recently relocated anthropology professor. Fingers Freddy, a man whose digits could unlock any stubborn jam jar but whose social skills were developing, had mumbled something about weird artifacts and old bones behind the university's anthropology department. My interest was piqued. Not for the bones, mind you. I'm more of a vintage Tupperware enthusiast. But artifacts hinted at potential resale value. Maybe some dusty tribal masks or quirky ethnographic trinkets. Enough to finally snag that mint-condition copy of Mousetrap I'd been eyeing on eBay. The professor's designated dumpster was tucked away behind a rather imposing brick building, the kind with ivy crawling up the walls and an air of hushed academic mystery. Even the overflowing bin seemed to exude an aura of intellectual clutter. Lots of crumpled papers, empty takeout containers, Szechuan judging by the lingering aroma, and the occasional discarded academic journal with titles that made my brain do a little skip. I donned my trusty gloves, thick rubber, slightly floral scented from a previous score at a demolished bath bomb factory, and peered into the abyss. Beneath a layer of what appeared to be meticulously annotated research papers on the mating rituals of Bolivian tree frogs, I spotted something unusual. It was a small, intricately carved wooden box. Dark wood, almost black, with swirling patterns that seemed to shift in the dim light of my headlamp. It felt old. Interesting. Definitely not something you find behind a Banana Republic. As I lifted it out, a few loose papers fluttered to the ground. One had a sketch of the box, along with some handwritten notes in a spidery script. Words like symbiotic, dormancy, and something that looked suspiciously like ocular parasites sent a tiny shiver down my spine. Probably just academic jargon, I told myself, the kind that makes perfectly normal things sound terrifying. Like calling a chipped teacup a pre-industrial ceramic vessel exhibiting significant structural compromise. Beneath the box, I unearthed more oddities. A collection of smooth, gray stones arranged in a circle, a bundle of dried herbs tied with what looked like human hair. Okay, that was a little unsettling. And then, the bones. Not the clean, bleached bones you see in museums. These were different. Small, oddly shaped, and disturbingly human-like in their articulation. A tiny hand no bigger than my thumb with delicate, elongated fingers. A miniature skull, its eye sockets dark and deep. My stomach did a little flip. This wasn't going to fetch much on eBay. And then I found the journal. Bound in cracked leather, its pages brittle and yellowed, it detailed the professor's research. It started innocuously enough, describing fieldwork in remote regions, the discovery of unusual flora and fauna. But the tone gradually shifted, becoming more obsessed. Entries spoke of a symbiotic relationship with a newly discovered organism, a creature that apparently lived within a specific type of rare fungus. The sketches became more disturbing, depicting the fungus intertwining with what looked suspiciously like those small bones I'd found. One entry, dated just a few days before the apparent move, sent a genuine bolt of fear through me. The integration is almost complete. Its awareness is expanding. The ocular interface is key. Soon we will see as one. I shuddered. Ocular interface? What in the name of discarded textbooks was going on? That's when I noticed the faint rhythmic pulsing coming from the wooden box. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it was there. A soft, organic thrumming that vibrated in my gloved hands. Curiosity, the cardinal sin of every seasoned dumpster diver, after accidentally puncturing a bag of week-old fish guts, got the better of me. I had to see what was inside. The lid was surprisingly easy to open. It wasn't locked, just held shut by a small, tarnished clasp. And then I saw it. Nestled on a bed of dried moss was something. It was vaguely spherical, about the size of a large eyeball, and it pulsed with a faint, internal light. Delicate, root-like tendrils sprouted from its surface, twitching slightly. And in the center, where the pupil should be, was a single, unblinking eye. It wasn't a human eye. It was too large, too multifaceted, like that of an insect. And it was staring directly at me. A wave of nausea washed over me. The air around the box suddenly felt thick, heavy. The rhythmic pulsing intensified, and I could have sworn I heard a faint, high-pitched clicking sound. My brain, usually so adept at calculating resale value and identifying vintage Pyrex patterns, was screaming one word: run. And that's exactly what I did. I dropped the box back into the dumpster, scrambled out of the bin with a speed that would have surprised my Zumba instructor, and didn't stop running until I was halfway down the block, my lungs burning and my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped woodpecker. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. The image of that pulsating eye, that silent, knowing gaze, was burned into my retinas. Fingers Freddy called me the next day, asking if I'd found anything good in the professor's trash. I just mumbled something about academic overspill and hung up. I haven't been dumpster diving since. My apartment feels a little less curated. My board game collection remains tantalizingly incomplete. And the thought of plunging my hands into the unknown depths of a discarded bin now fills me with a primal dread I never thought possible. Maybe some treasures are better left buried. Maybe some knowledge is too unsettling to unearth. And maybe, just maybe, I should stick to the predictable delights of slightly damaged designer handbags. The taxidermied squirrel is starting to look a little lonely. Perhaps I'll finally give him a name. Maybe something watchful.
That's all for this tale. But the shadows here at Parallax Tales are always shifting. Many more stories of cosmic dread and psychological horror are on their way. Subscribe now and don't miss the next descent into the darkness.